David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety.
For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Mark Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Chair Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Hamilton.
I'm here.
Commissioner Hanson.
Present.
Commissioner Green. Excused?
Yes. I guess she's
Excuse, he'll be late.
All right. And Commissioner Bustamante.
Excused.
All right, you have a quorum.
Can we have, is there any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, there are no changes to the agenda.
Okay, is there?
Mr. Chair, move to approve the agenda.
Okay. Second. All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody's opposed. We move to number 2, presentation on adult facility. Go ahead, Derek Williams.
Good morning.
Thank you.
So this morning we have the privilege to present to the commission our annual presentation before you guys have the opportunity to come and tour our facility. So we've provided a PowerPoint, and I brought some of my key management staff to assist along with the presentation so they can kind of talk about their respective departments along the way. So the outline in this presentation is about the population data. So this is about the influx of intakes and releases that the facility operates and deals with throughout the year. Our medical support data, mental health and behavioral health, our programming, information about the juvenile that we house and have a contract with, security operations, and personnel data. This first graph here is intakes and releases. We average about 5,000 intakes and roughly the same in releases per year. And the graph just kind of demonstrates exactly that. It kind of does go up and down depending on the time of year and different holidays and things going on in the community. But as you can see, the releases stay hand in hand, usually with the amount of intakes that we have coming in. Our daily average population, this just kind of shows the stability going back from January 23 till now. It has come down some, about 30. We averaged a peak of about 280 back in February of 23, and as today's date, we roughly maintain around 250. This just kind of shows the male and female population. Obviously, our female population is a lot less than our male population, and this stays pretty stable also. Length of stay, as this commission knows, we have a very transient population, as most other detention facilities across the state. 49% stay between 1 and 2 days before they get released. And then the graph kind of breaks down. We only between 8 and 14 days, that's about 15% of our population. Those are more of, and then when you get further down to like the 30 plus, you're looking at cases where we have judgment and sentences. So people are getting sentenced to sometimes our detention facility depending on the severity of their crimes. And for classification, so we do a threat assessment on the intakes that come into our facility to help us identify appropriate housing for them in the facility. So we have our initial classification is in that first graph on the left, and then on the right, it talks about reclassification, because as inmates, the longer they stay in custody, the more often and frequent they get visits from classification, the more often we're assessing their classification to make sure there's not changes and changes with them that could affect their housing. So for example, we look at any potential for violence that they have, the nature of their crimes. We look at substance abuse, mental health concerns that there may be. Do they have any enemies that have been identified, and any other kind of special needs that we need to be aware of? Those are all key factors that help us determine where an inmate should be housed in our facility. Hearings. So this just kind of gives you a quick peek about the different municipalities and partners that we have contractual services with, that we house for, and then the types of hearings that we conduct on a daily basis. So obviously District Court, Rio Arriba, the City of Santa Fe, Magistrate, and then the City of Espanola. What's not on here is BIA. I know last year there was a question from the commission about BIA. We have since worked out a contractual services agreement with BIA, and we have been housing for those folks, and it's been a really good partnership.
Mr. Chair, How many federal employees, not employees, but inmates do you have?
Emmett, do you kind of know what number we're looking at right now with BIA?
We're averaging about 9. It
About-
fluctuates from 9.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm going to introduce Suzanne Jonas. She's our clinical nurse supervisor, and she's going to kind of fill in for Ashley, who's our health services administrator. Did you have a question, Commissioner? Oh, okay. You look like you had a question there. Oh, okay. Yeah, if I go too fast, please just let me know and I'll go back. Suzanne?
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I'm the clinical nurse supervisor at the adult detention facility. So we're going to go over in some policies and procedures, new ones that we've started, that we started last January in 2023. This chart shows up until last month of this year. So in January, we began to collect urine drug screens. We try and collect them on every single inmate that we do an intake on. They, of course, do have the right to refuse. So this information that we obtain is an attempt for us to gain information as to what substances they're using when they come in. And how many different substances they have in their system. This information allows the medical team to better medicate them and to hopefully try and keep their symptoms at bay to get them through their withdrawal symptoms. So the drug screenings, our intakes during this time frame were 6,414. We were able to test 4,037, and of that amount, 3,553 were positive, so 88%. Of those positive screenings, 78% had 2 or more substances in their systems, and 53% had fentanyl in their systems. This shows a breakdown from October to February of this year, October of last year, February this year, of how the percentage of inmates that our medical provider sees. This does not include the inmates that are seen by our psych mental health nurse practitioner or mental health. This is just our medical doctor. So in October of last year, he saw 58.68% of the inmates that we took in. November, it was very similar, and then December, January, February were a little bit less, but still quite a bit, over 50%. This graph shows our hospital transports. This specifically shows how many people, the amount of people, and the cost that we incur when we transport inmates to the ER. This includes what we pay for staffing, ambulance services, and mileage. Longer hospital stays, of course, we incur higher transport and overtime costs. The yellow represents the cost, and the blue represents the transports.
Can you explain just real quick for the commission the difference, why sometimes we are paying a higher amount for someone for less days?
Warden, would you please, when you talk, would you speak into the mic so we can hear you also, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry, say that again. How we...
So I just wanted to clarify a point on this. The costs aren't always going to be in line because you may have sometimes, depending on the needs of the inmate that's being transported to the hospital, obviously they may have a lot more complicated cases going on, which could drive that cost up versus someone that maybe the doctor has a concern about. We refer them to the hospital, they get there. and maybe they're stabilized, but they just want to keep an eye on them. So I just wanted to make sure that that's understood from the graph also. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so for instance, that the July of last year that is very high, up over in between 25,000 and 20,000. Something like that probably happened because, for instance, someone might have needed a CT scan or multiple X-rays, or possibly they needed to call in an OBGYN if she was pregnant. You know, a specialist, those kind of things can incur a higher cost. This shows our off-site appointments. Off-site appointments are usually consist of us sending the inmates to specialists. A lot of our inmates need to be sent to orthopedics doctors. We have quite a few who need to be sent, who need OBGYN appointments. Other types of specialists that we will send them to because we don't have those types of things in-house are ophthalmology, and oftentimes our inmates need surgeries as well. This graph shows our code blues and our code reds. Code blues are, of course, a medical issue. Code reds are generally anytime there's a fight or a fire, a possible fire issue going on. The medical team reports to any codes, code blues or code reds. And we respond to them the same way. We take all of our equipment and everything. So on this chart, the yellow represents the codes, the amount of codes, and the yellow represents the amount of times that we had to use Narcan. That's not the amount of Narcan used, it's the number of times that we had to use Narcan. Do you all have any questions for medical?
I guess not, thank you.
Right, Rebecca. So this is Rebecca Granger. She's our nurse psychiatrist practitioner.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. Schaefer. Thank you guys for having us here. Don't always get the opportunity to publicly thank you, but thank you for the support that you've given us. We have made huge strides, and I want to just kind of go back quickly on one of the slides of offsites. I know it's a question that's come up frequently or recently, and over the last 5 years since I've worked for you for the county, we have not had any send-outs for psychiatry. So that's with the support of our behavioral health team, our medical team. So, and that's something that we're extremely proud of because our acuity has gone up over the years for several different unknown or speculated changes within our state. On average, in a month, the visits that I have for psychiatry range from about 70 to 100 visits a month. And here you could see the population, on average, again, about 3/4 of our population are on psychotropic medications. However, that doesn't indicate the actual acuity. That's just a reflection of prescribed medication. So a lot of the individuals, about 5 to 10% of our population are considered seriously mentally ill, and that has a tendency to fluctuate as well. Again, in regards to my formulary, the formulary that Dr. Olivares and I have discussed and agreed upon and implement, none of the medications that I prescribe are addictive or habit forming. And I think I've mentioned that to you all before. We have seen a little bit of an increase in our medication prescribing within the last couple of months. But I try to reflect on that and to identify what might be that influence. And I actually think it's what we're implementing in regards to MAT right now. We're utilizing the naltrexone and the Vivitrol, and people that wouldn't otherwise seek medication treatment are now requesting that. So we've been really successful with that program together with our matrix. And with that, I'll, if you have any questions for me in particular, Mark will fill you all in on what we're doing in regards to matrix.
Well, I was wondering what percentage of people are, their mental illness is related to drug abuse.
I think actually Mark is going to be covering that.
Okay.
I think that's a very relevant and good question.
Mark Buscelli, Behavioral Health Manager. That question is kind of chicken or the egg, unfortunately, that we're seeing. The SDMI population, which is severely disabled mentally ill population, we're thinking easily at 15%. It can go up to 65%. As you saw with our last yearly accumulation of UAs, 88% of these individuals are coming in under the acute intoxication aspect. Put that on top of around a 65% conjectured mentally ill, we're almost at 100% of our whole population being co-occurring. So differentiating that out has been quite difficult. Once we clear them out of their substances, if there's a remaining psychotic process, that's where our behavioral health individuals, our practitioners, will refer to Rebecca Granger for psychotropic medications. So that's why we work together as a team. Off of that is we do our evidence-based program called the Matrix program. It's a 30-day program. As you saw with our statistics, this is only covering around 40% of our population, those individuals that can actually be at our facility long enough to go through this evidence-based program. We're in our 6th year of that, and this is our accumulated amount of individuals. We've done 19 rounds of the Matrix program. We have 108 males who have completed it. We do have a relapse problem, but it has actually gone down over time. Compared to non-treatment at all, which is around 85 to 90% return rate of individuals regarding relapse, those individuals who successfully go through the Matrix program, there's only a 33.3% relapse rate or reoffending rate. Similar with females, due to our population of the females only being around 25% of our population, we have a smaller cohort of those individuals. 23 of those females have completed the Matrix program, 6 have reoffended. They have a lower relapse rate of 26.1%.
This is Melissa Oberg. She's our programs manager, and I'll have her go over some programs.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Melissa Oberg. I'm the program manager. At our jail, we offer a variety of programs to allow inmates to make self-improvements. Some of those programs we have are Narcotics Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous, parenting classes, religious studies, substance abuse therapy, food handler course. All these work in conjunction with re-entry to aid inmates in their return to the community in efforts to reduce recidivism. At our facility, we have 4 dedicated re-entry specialists, 2 with lived experience. With me today, I have one of our reentry specialists. His name is Josh Trujillo. He's our community reentry specialist. Josh?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So my name is Joshua Trujillo. I'm the community reentry specialist here at the Santa Fe County Adult Detention Facility. And as mentioned in the slide, we have 2 people with lived experience, and what that means is I am a formerly incarcerated individual who was dependent on many different drugs. So I want to talk about these inmate contacts, because if you saw on one of the previous slides, they showed the intakes compared to the inmate contacts that our reentry team is having. I'm really, really happy with the numbers that we're being able to put out, because we're being able to see on most months more than half of our population, which is really outstanding to me. Being a person who's been incarcerated in several different facilities throughout our state, I've never seen anything like the services that are being offered here in Santa Fe, and I love it. So we're really connecting inmates to different kinds of programs, whether it be inpatient, outpatient, court-ordered, not court-ordered, you know, and a lot of that is just being able to capture the individuals who, for one, want the help and are willing to follow through on their end, and then being able to plug them into the proper services that are actually going to be able to help them to be able to reduce the recidivism of the individuals that are coming back. I was actually just looking at the numbers this morning to get a more accurate reading of like what we're working with and how many people are coming back. And actually this year, what we're showing is 6% of the individuals that we're plugging into programs have come back into our facility, which means that 94% of them are not returning, which is amazing to me. I'm really happy with that. We're being able to bridge the gaps with doing warm handoffs with programs, being able to make sure that they get a face-to-face encounter with some of these programs before they leave the facility. We have different programs, LifeLink, RISE, Delancey Street, coming into our facility, Santa Fe Recovery, that are actually coming into the facility and meeting with the individuals who are currently incarcerated and being able to have like a warm connection. Because once they meet with somebody and they know who they're going to be referred to, the follow through on the back end is just way, way larger. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So these are some of the partners that we have that we work the most with: OI Recovery, Santa Fe Recovery, LifeLink, Four Winds. Actually, more referrals have been going to NM Wellness. I'm not sure if you're familiar. They have a location in Taos and in Rio Rancho. They've been really great with working with us, getting us beds on a timely manner. We've been able to drop the amount of time that it's taking to get individuals into programs substantially. Just a couple of years ago, it was taking on an average between 3 to 6 months to get an individual from the jail into a program. We've been able to shorten that time, and we're looking at more like 2 to 6 weeks. So it's really great that we're getting that. And then with our outpatient services, you know, we make a lot of referrals to whether it's just, you know, primary care physicians or a Vivitrol continuation, or individuals who want to get onto different MAP programs when they leave the facility. We're being able to plug them in, and usually we can get them an appointment to where they walk out the door of the jail and have an appointment within 48 hours. Sometimes we're able to line it up that very same day. It just depends on, you know, when we get a release order from the courts and being able to get them to that appointment on time. We're also being able to plug them into transportation to these appointments, because a big barrier, as I'm sure you know, is if somebody walks out the front door and they're walking down Highway 14 towards Allsups, for them to make it to their appointment seems more and more impossible every step that they take. So we're being able to have LifeLink is providing transportation. They show up at the jail. Myself or the other reentry specialists will walk them out the front door and straight into the vehicle of the transport, and they go straight over to their appointment, and we're having a huge success rate with that. Next slide, please. So this graph actually only reflects some of the inpatient from the last quarter of last year. You know, we have people who are accepted, people who arrived, you know, and actually the numbers on these months were a little bit low. We've seen an increase on the amount, especially because of the warm handoffs, on the people who are accepted to treatment and then actually make it to the treatment bed. We have very few rejections, and on this graph, I'm actually surprised we do not have our outpatient referrals, which now that we're having more reentry staff, we're being able to capture more of the population who need these outpatient referrals, and we're really getting them plugged into a lot of appointments. I think that we're averaging, actually I don't really want to speculate too much, usually about 20 per month, at least in my unit. The units I cover right now is Delta and Alpha. Okay, delta is like the minimums, and alpha is the maximums and the intake unit. Any questions?
Any questions? I have a quick question. Is there, so how much additional capacity do you need in like the RISE program to fully meet the need?
For the RISE program? So the RISE program is actually an amazing addition to being able to plug individuals who, you know, usually the primary candidates are those who have graduated from the matrix and have gone into our reentry pod. Our reentry pod is like an aftercare where they continue drug testing and programming, and they also work in the kitchen as well. And being able to plug these individuals into a landing spot when they get out, because often what happens is if you have somebody that stabilizes and they're drug-free and they're programming, they're doing great, they're starting to be happy again, they start not wanting to be released, because then when they get out, they either go back into a very harmful or toxic situation or going back to homelessness. And they really don't do well when they land in those situations. So being able to land in the RISE House or other programs of the like, it really gives them a landing spot where they can, you know, get used to the routine of life. They plug them into employment, and they really do great when they land in that situation.
Okay, but is there a certain gap in the need?
A gap in the need?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't understand.
Do you need more space to have more places to put people, expand the RISE program? Or
yes.
That's the gap.
Really, if there's a conversation about the expansion of that, then yes. I know that there was some conversation of there maybe being a second house, which we will be able to fill those beds for sure.
Commissioner Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one of the things I've always thought that was important is we used to have these halfway houses. Is this kind of the idea that we're working towards, or with these treatment facilities, or are these treatment facilities clearly only treatment facilities, and do we have a place where kind of inmates can transition? Because I've always thought that that was an important part, you know, and I'm really happy to hear that people like LifeLink and other people are providing transportation service, because of any of the complaints that I do get is that people complain about letting inmates released in the middle of the night, or, you know, late, and they're walking along Highway 14. So those are my questions.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, like as far as halfway houses and things like that, Santa Fe has very little resources when it comes to that for people that are coming out from incarceration. We're really grateful to have the RISE program through the LifeLink. Sometimes I'll refer people over to Santa Fe Recovery simply so they could get into their extended program or their bridge house, and they have to complete their 30-day program in order to be eligible for that. And so finding these kind of resources for people so that way they're not just straight onto the street after leaving incarceration is one of the bigger struggles that we have. So the more resources that we're being able to obtain in that department, the better outcomes we're seeing. Like there's an individual that I've been working with, and the funny part is that we actually have people that are willing to, after release, they'll call me up. And you know, when people leave from jail, the last thought is, oh, I want to call the jail and just chit chat with them. But they're actually calling me up, and sometimes they're like, hey, you know, I'm kind of struggling out here. I really need to get plugged into some kind of services. Can you help me out? And I'm being able to plug them into resources. Another guy has been, you know, I talked to him 2 days ago, and he just wanted to give me a check-in. He's like, I'm doing really good. I'm coming up on 2 years clean. And right now he's doing some service work with UNM Echo, and it's really amazing to see like some of the things that are coming from the people that are getting plugged into these kind of halfway resources.
Chairman, County Commissioners, just to clarify also, I know to your point, Commissioner, regarding the times that inmates are released and the walk and the concerns that have come up from the public, We do have procedures in place to enhance the safety of those individuals. For example, before any inmate is released from custody, we actually have a form that reminds them that they are offered a ride, that we will provide a ride if they need one, and we give them one last opportunity to make a phone call to a loved one or a family member or friend to arrange for transportation. 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, they refuse. They sign off acknowledging that they've been offered that opportunity, but they don't want the ride. And when they do get released, we also provide some temporary shelter for them, especially like in the winter or in the hot summer. In the front of the facility, we have an area that's designated for inmates that they can wait inside while they're waiting for transportation. We also have a bus that comes, it's of no cost to the inmates, that offers availability for them to be transported out of the facility. So we have all those services provided, but unfortunately, a lot of times inmates, when they get released, they want to get away from the facility as soon as possible, and they usually don't want to ride from the staff. However, every year, in fact, just yesterday with the deputy manager, we're still continuously looking at what we can do to go above and beyond what we're already doing. And I'll give you one example. One of the concerns that came up was lighting, to have some more light provided. We're looking at, we're having discussions about what that may look like just on the main road between public safety and the adult detention facility. The parking lot at ADF, the adult detention facility, is already very well lit up, but we are looking at those things, and we do have measures in place to make sure that we're looking out for their best interest when they get released. I just wanted to touch on that.
Thank you, Warden. I appreciate that.
I did also want to clarify with the transport that the warden was talking about. We actually oftentimes, I can set it up through the captain and the major. If we have an individual who doesn't have a transport, and let's say LifeLink is not able to come and transport them, the transport team will set up officers from our facility that will take them over to Santa Fe Recovery and walk them in through the front door, and we've actually seen great success with that as well. Any more questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Major. So juvenile detention, and as this commission probably is aware from last year, we no longer house juveniles in Santa Fe County. Our numbers, fortunately for us, are very low. We usually only have between 4 and 7 juvenile offenders that are incarcerated. We have a secured contract with San Juan County for housing, and we also have one with Bernalillo County, although most times their beds are full. But as San Juan, we have dedicated 7 beds that are preserved for Santa Fe County when we need. And I'll have the Major Martin Lopez talk a little more about that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, County Manager. Thank you again for having us here today. Carlos Markman Lopez, I'm the Chief of Security. Yes, Juvenile Detention Center, as you know, in 2020, we had to close it down. I believe one of the reasons was because of it was cost effective. It was a whole facility providing different all the services that we offer right now. The adult, it was done at the youth, and the average of juveniles were like around 7, no more than 10. The challenge for us was to find the place to hold them. We've been housing them in San Juan County, in Farmington. It's a challenge because it's 3.5 hours from our facility, and there is sometimes intakes that we get at 1, 2 in the morning, so we had to get the transport ready. The intake process for juveniles is the same as our adults, but in different place. They come in, we get them medically clear, and we have a team ready to take them to San Juan County. Like I said, is if I'm using 2 officers, round trip will be of around 8 hours of travel, 3.5 that way, 3.5 this way. The graph up there, you can see, I believe those are only the intake transports. We also are ordered to go pick them up for release at times. And we also ordered to go pick them up for court. So that the graph might be a little bit higher if we add those transports. We also take them to another facilities, or sometimes it may be a different program for them. If you see there in November, what I noticed in my experience is that usually when there is a recent crime in the city or the county with a juvenile, they usually arrest 2 or 3. It's not only one, because they're always together. When we only get one arrestee, is sometimes because they're on probation, but sometimes if there is a high-profile crime that went on with the juvenile situation, they usually arrest a few people within a week. So that means that we're pretty busy those days for transports and courts. So that's that for the juveniles. Right now, I think we have 6 in Farmington, either pending courts, or they're on hold for probation or stuff like that.
Mr. Chair, if I could mention, relative to our partnership with San Juan County, I think transportation obviously is an issue, no matter where the facility would be located. But the reality is, I believe it's been a mutually beneficial partnership, both for San Juan County as well as Santa Fe County, in terms of allowing us to consolidate resources and partner with a facility that has extremely good programming for pre-adjudicated juveniles. I know that Chair Hughes and Commissioner Green toured their facility with me when San Juan County hosted New Mexico County's last summer annual meeting. If any other commissioner is ever interested in touring the facility, please let the warden know, and he can arrange that. But I did just want to emphasize that it has been mutually beneficial, I think, both for San Juan County to have a partner that's committed to making sure that they have the resources to provide top-notch programming, and for Santa Fe County to have a facility that is dedicated in that regard. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. So it appears that in the last couple of months of 2023, the numbers started going up. Did something happen in Santa Fe around that time, or it just was somewhat a more active time for crime, or?
Commissioner, we really don't have any explanation for that, other than I can tell you, you'll see from like November to December, it immediately dropped back down. Sometimes it's a probation offender, or sometimes it's a failure to appear. They get them back in court, and then they end up getting released. Other than that, we really can't. I really have no data to really support why they go up and down like that. But when you look at the graph, I think it looks pretty dramatic when you see how high they go and drop. But when you look at the numbers, it's really not that much of a huge impact. And when it does go up, you see it immediately goes right back down the next month. So normally it's when they come in, they're not staying in custody for a long time, which is a good sign. So that tells me it's normally a probation concern.
And then when they go to court, they don't do a video appearance, or do they do a video appearance and then when it's actually the trial, they go to court? How does that work?
So, Commissioner, it's all dependent on what type of hearing they have. Some hearings the judge will require an in-person hearing, and others they do have the availability to do a video hearing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you, Chief. So this is all basically intake. This chart is all intake people. So it's not transports for courts. So court dates and things like that are, yeah, go ahead.
You're correct. Yeah, this has nothing to do with, it has something to do with transports, but it's not fully inclusive to that. This is just primarily to give you an idea of the numbers of juveniles that we're housing in San Juan.
Using transports as a
Yes, sir.
as
That's
a data point. Okay, great. And so if there's a busy court docket, and all those trials, you're just going up and down every day. You've got a team that's going up and down to San Juan every day?
Yes, due to the distance of Farmington, we don't want the officers to get tired or anything like that for security reasons. So what we do, we usually have a team to go pick them up, and we have another team, fresh team, ready to go take them back. Because sometimes we have to, if the court is at 8 o'clock, we have to be there by 3 in the morning, come back, take them to court, and then court might be a few hours there. So I had to use a different set of fresh officers to go take them. Yes.
What do we do with people who are in the court system when they are brought here for a 3-day trial? Where are they held during those days?
We had only one situation recently where the warden made arrangements to have them a house for us for those few days here in Albuquerque, Bernalillo County.
So that was closer, but they
yes.
So
that way we
instead
can
of
just go back and forth for those 3-4 days.
Okay.
I just want to make a noteworthy comment on this. Is to kind of touch back with what the county manager was talking about. We're very limited in the state with juvenile facilities. I believe there's only 4 right now that are housing juveniles. San Juan, they have been a blessing to us. It is the most, for the options that we have available to us, San Juan is definitely the best solution for Santa Fe County. So we do have a good partnership. When it comes to the transport, as the major talked about, yes, it is a long distance for transporting. However, when we went into a partnership with San Juan for having a contract with them, where they were gracious enough to dedicate beds for Santa Fe County, we did look at that as far as the staffing that we have available in transports. And the major and his team have been very successful in making sure that hasn't affected our operations internally when we're transporting juveniles. I just want to touch on that, okay?
So, but for one transport, you're typically using 4 officers, or?
No.
That's if they're going to trial.
Oh, you're talking about the trials?
If a trial or a court is going to be taking a few hours, I prefer to send, and it depending also what time. So if I have a shift, let's say that if I have to pick somebody up at 3 in the morning for court at 8 o'clock in the morning, I had to send somebody from that shift, which is 6 to 6. Then when we had to take them back, I have a different set of officers that are on that shift.
And so this might be for County Manager Schaefer. How many other counties use the San Juan facility alongside of us?
I don't have that information top of mind. I'll have to get that and get back to you. We are not the only county by any stretch of the imagination that does so. I believe one of the reasons that San Juan County has appreciated our partnership, as an aside, is that we've committed to paying for the capacity that we want them to reserve for us, and that's one of the aspects that I believe they find to be mutually beneficial. But I can look into that information and let you know.
And then sort of related to that, just sort of, transportation is a common, if multiple people, multiple counties are using this facility, they're all having the same transport problem. And there might be a way to create a regionalized transport. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, if we can have other corrections facilities handle our people as a transfer. But if, for instance, we have a really good team, really good wheels, really good everything, we go, there's somebody coming from here and somebody going down to Sandoval, and there's somebody coming here and somebody coming there. And I'm just trying to think of ways to make that more efficient, because it seems like that's probably the most expensive part of this equation.
If I could just, and for one second, and the warden can speak to this as well, we're always looking for ways to be efficient and work with our partner entities. I think one of the challenges when you're talking about the transport of juveniles in particular is that you have a limited window in which you can house them, if I recall correctly, in a non-juvenile facility. So we work very expeditiously to process the paperwork and transport them to San Juan. You can't hold them for extended hours, is my understanding, and so we're always cognizant of both our legal requirements, but what's in the best interest of our juvenile clients as well. And if I got that wrong, Warden, let me know.
No, you're correct. We have very limited time on how long we can have them in the adult facility, and it's mainly just enough time to get them safely medically assessed and classified and into the system. Commissioner, it's noteworthy to know that I can't speak for other facilities, but I can tell you for us, Santa Fe, juveniles and transportation is not an issue. We're fortunate enough to be in a good place.
Okay, great.
If that helps any.
Thank you. Thanks. And the tour last year was enlightening, and it looked like San Juan was doing a great job. And I appreciate the invitation and guidance that County Manager Schaefer arranged for us. And I think Chair Hughes and I were enlightened. It was good to see.
Thank you.
Also, just going back to the question about how long we can have them there, we can have them there no more than 6 hours. We usually don't have them there more than an hour and a half. So we cannot have them in our facility holding for more than 6 hours. And of course, they have to be away from any adult inmates. We have them in a separate place. So that being said, also, I want to just throw this out there that there is sometimes 1 week, 2 weeks that we don't have any transports, so we don't have this problem like every day. When we get busy, yeah, we have a few coming in, like I said, 1 week, but we can go 1, 2, 3 weeks without having any no juvenile transports.
Mr. Hanson.
Yeah, so where are the 4 facilities, juvenile facilities in the state?
Doña Ana County and Bernalillo County, I believe, they're the biggest ones.
Okay, Doña Ana
and San Juan.
And Bernalillo and San Juan.
Chavez County, Doña Ana County.
Okay. So basically, we have 2 in the north and 2 in the south.
Yes.
Okay. And so that means that 8 counties per facility is really using these facilities. And I know there's been a lot of talk about having regional facilities, but it looks like that's where we've gone to, is that most counties have closed their juvenile facilities, and we are moving towards a more regional mechanism for juveniles.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Security operations. So basically here we have 3 items. One is contraband, inmate to inmate assaults, and inmate to staff assaults. As you can see there, we have the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. In 5 months, we had 53 altogether contraband that we discovered, and most of this contraband is found usually in the booking intake area. Within probably, if we find them an inmate, it's gonna be within the first 24 hours to the 7 days. And contraband can be anywhere from alter property, homemade weapons, any type of narcotics. Usually what we found the most in the facility right now is Suboxone, fentanyl, and sometimes meth. Those are the 3 things that we're finding the most. The larger amounts that we found is, of course, coming out of our booking intake area, because that's where we get the inmates coming in. When we find any type of narcotics in the back in the general population, it's usually a really small amount compared to what we find in our inmates are holding for the first 24 to 7 days. Inmate to inmate assaults, We had 92 in those 5 months, and those can be from something really petty as an inmate got slapped or punched once to maybe one-on-one altercation. Or sometimes you have two against one, and I haven't had any major injuries, none of these, thank God, or anybody using any type of weapon, home weapon for some of these assaults that I can remember of. And inmates to stop assaults, those are really minimum, really, and usually some of the assaults happen when we have people coming in and they're combative and they're on the influence of any type of narcotics or alcohol, and they're not cooperating. And when they're being hauled or whatever, they kick my officer, or it's not like. It's really rare that an inmate in the general population will come to you and just attack you. That's really rare. And as you know, they're really minimum 2, 3, 2, 1, and 2, a total of 10 in the last 5 months. Any questions?
I don't think so.
I want to go back on that contraband for a moment, I want to reiterate the same thing I did last year. The county we have great resources in place to look at contraband and prevent it from coming into our facility, which we've been very successful with. We have a active trained canine dog. We have a inmate body scanner, and several other tools. So during our intake, that's where we catch most of the contraband that comes in. I think last year when I did a report, I think there was roughly an estimated $600,000 worth of contraband that was caught upon intake. So we have really great measures in place, and measures that a lot of other counties don't have. For example, the body scanner and the canine, those are definitely but they're tools, if anything. So we use them as a tool, but never to say that it's 100%. There's always going to be opportunity for inmates to conceal contraband coming in, but I'm very proud of the efforts and the resources that we have available here in Santa Fe County to reduce that, and we do a very good job at it. I just wanted to mention that before we go on here. So going into, go ahead, Commissioner.
All right, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you track self-harm?
I'm sorry?
Do you track self-harm, suicide attempts, or people that are hurting themselves? Like the last thing was violence, but a subject is doing assaulting yourself, or do you track in your data when inmates are trying to harm themselves?
Commissioner, I'm going to have Mr. Boschelli kind of speak to that question.
Regarding self-harm or suicide attempts, yes, we track that. The easiest way that we track them, we will bring them down to medical and put them on a 15-minute hold. So we'll track 15-minute holds as well as constant holds on a monthly and quarterly basis. We have that figure. If you want that, we can get that to you.
Just for me, would be an interesting thing to track alongside with the violence is another sort of self-violence, but it's
okay.
I mean, I understand it's a kind of a different space in there, but it is a level of overlap. And anyway, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, we'll go on to security staffing. As you can see, we got remarkable results here. We've definitely been progressive in filling vacancies. I don't know any other facility in the state that probably has the vacancies we do, thanks to the county that we serve. But with detention officers, we got 4 vacancies. That's accurate as of today. This is just security staff. Our sergeants, lieutenants, captains, and the major, our supervisors and managers, 0%. We're 100% filled in those categories. medical and other support staff. So I won't go through them individually, but again, you can see our vacancies are almost 0% all the way down. I was looking here. Even medical, when you compare it to last year, we've just had tremendous success. We have Suzanne, who spoke earlier, is our clinical nurse supervisor. That's a position that she was the first to fill that position. We didn't have that in the past. And you know, even our agency nursing that we've depended on years in the past has really dropped down because we've been able to successfully fill all of the registered nursing positions that we've had. So we're very proud about that. And that's the end of this presentation. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and we look forward to showing you the facility.
Commissioner Hanson.
Congratulations on hiring. I know that the board took that very seriously, and that raising salaries makes a huge difference for staff. And so continued good luck on hiring whoever else you need to hire, but the numbers look way better than they did last year, so thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back to Mark. I should have asked while I had you at the table, but maybe the warden can answer it, or you'll call him up if you need it. When somebody comes on an intake, you screen them for drugs, right?
Correct.
Do you screen them? Do they all go through a psych evaluation at all, or?
They do. Mark, do you want to speak on the assessment we do at intake for self-harm?
Commissioner, during the intake, we do a full intake on every single person coming in. Not all counties do that, but we purposely do that. Part of that intake is both a medical and a behavioral health intake regarding psychiatric history, any known psychiatric medications that they're on, as well as any self-harm history, as well as current thoughts of suicide. So that assessment's done by our RN intake worker. If that RN sees that red flag goes up, a behavioral health therapist is called to the scene at that time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And great job with the hiring.
Yeah, very good. Good to see the staffing levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. I guess it's time for us to adjourn and go take a tour.
A motion to, is it adjourn or is it, it is to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good.